All right, so I know it's not much, but this is another UNESCO World Heritage Site that's just near Ephesus. We hit up a couple so far. This one just really has this one main column standing, and there's a stork's nest up on the top there. But we're going to walk around and share a little bit of information we gathered with you. There's quite a few sites kind of scattered just near Ephesus. Some are pay, some are free. This one is just kind of like in a park behind a gate that we just drove into.
There's speaking of which, there's the Basilica of St John. You can see it, the little columns up there.
So we went to go to that one actually, and it was closed. So we opted to come over here. So we're gonna check out this one real quick. And actually there was a neat little spot over here with a body of water that had some swans in it. Well, I was a little wrong on my birds. They are, oh, is this cat trying to hunt these guys? He's definitely gonna lose. They're not swans, they're geese. But they were floating around in this water over here. And I don't think this is necessarily a part of the site, but more of a retaining wall. It might have been, though. It might have been the original outer walls.
It could have been, because the site was so big. It was a football field and a half in length, and there was 127 columns. So to put that into like perspective, Assos, where we were just at, had 34 columns. So this place was so big and so grand. That's why it was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But unfortunately, there's just not really much left. You can see this one column. That column, it's not even a whole column. It's just been reconstructed in bits and pieces. And that's just all that's left. There's actually a rumor that says that some of these columns were taken and used to build the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. It's just a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but I did read that.
I was curious if a lot of this was like deconstructed and used elsewhere, because I mean, you would think that there would still be a lot of it lying around, even if it had, you know, collapsed in the earthquake or something. But
right, and it actually, since you mention it, it did collapse once in an earthquake, and they rebuilt it. And then it was destroyed once again after that by fire. A guy actually set it on fire. His name was Herostatus, something like that. But he actually set it on fire just to have his name known, just to be famous. So when, so they, you know, they caught him, they tortured him, they sentenced him to death. But also what they did was they passed a law that said that you cannot speak his name or write his name on penalty of death. And he actually, there's a law term based on his name. I think it's spelled like hero status, but it's Herostatus. And that means committing a crime to become famous.
so that's funny. He did it too, so his name would go down in infamy or history, and then they made a law to not speak his name.
Right, and where it's now 2021, and you can literally find his name on Google. So
eventually, it was taken out of law, apparently,
yeah. I don't think we're going to be put to death anymore.
Right. So there's not much. We'll just go over here and I'll show you this little area here, and then that should be about it. There's a little bit of stones here on the outside. I wonder if there's a little bit that hasn't been excavated yet. Let's head over here. There's just a bunch of like pieces of column, it looks like, but certainly not any full lengths of column, minus this one. Maybe. And some of this looks like it has concrete. I wonder if they just stacked a bunch and built a column, huh?
Yeah, I don't think there's not really. If you look on the other side, none of the pieces even look complete.
Right. Well, I think that's about it for this site. We just wanted to stop over here and check it out. It was
another free site.
Yeah.
You know, on the way, why not?
It was free site. It was like 25 minutes from our Airbnb, so we figured we'd come check it out. So if you're at Ephesus and you're you got a few more minutes to spare, come swing by here. It's just around the corner from St. John's Basilica, correct?
Yes.
And then I think it was also the castle.
Yeah, the Celtic castle and Citadel is also there too.
For sure.
Unfortunately, they're both closed now at this time of day, which is a bummer. But
and I think you have to pay to enter there to see the basilica.
I believe so. I don't know what the fee is, but I'm pretty sure you do have to pay for it.
For sure. All right, guys, we just got here to the Grotto of the Seven Sleepers. It's a site that's actually just here near Ephesus. We just left Ephesus. We're going to head up here. I believe it's just up a little ways. We saw this little stone, so we were kind of curious. It looked almost like a step, but or like it was like some type of room maybe at some point.
I don't know if this is the grotto and then this is like the early church that they built around it because of all the people that came to pilgrimage here.
We'll find out. We're going to go up
we'll find out.
to the major part of the site, which I believe is up this little path a little way. So here's the little entry to this. It's not really accessible. It doesn't look like you can actually get in here at all. But you can see here that there's sarcophagus there and a little burial niche here. And Rachel will go up to the top here in a second. Rachel will tell you the importance of the burial niches.
In this church, there's a small church. You can kind of see the structure just outside the grotto. But this church was built by Justinian the First, and he was actually the same guy that built the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul.
Wow.
So the legend of the seven sleepers goes something like this. There were 7 young men, and they were living in Ephesus, and they were Christians, and they were given the opportunity to renounce their faith. Rather than do that, they decided to run away. So they gave all of their money away, and they came to this cave to hide and pray. And in doing so, they fell into a deep sleep. They were actually found hiding in the cave, but they were still sleeping, and the emperor ordered the cave to be sealed up. So time goes by, and a landowner actually purchases the land and wants to convert the cave into a cow pen. So he breaks the wall open and discovers the men sleeping. And the men had thought they had just been asleep for one night. But when they woke up, they were pretty hungry, so they went to get some food, and they tried to pay with coinage that was almost 300 years old. They weren't even using that coinage anymore. So it was discovered that they were the men that ran away and were hiding, and they'd been sleeping for 300 years. And this site is, a lot of people wanted to come and be buried next to, such a holy site. So that's why you see all those funeral niches, and there's a church that was built around it, and it kind of became a place of pilgrimage for many, many years after that. And the story is actually really neat because there's a story in the Quran that's very similar as well, except theirs involves a dog. But they don't believe that this site is the site of that story. It's the Christians that believe that this site is the site of that story.
So this was like a sought after burial spot from a lot of people, huh?
Right.
It's unfortunate that it's so gated off because you could really walk up in here a bit.
Right, it's really neat. Look, it goes way back there.
Yeah. Some kids actually just hopped over this fence over here. And if I was a bit nimbler and younger, I'd probably do the same because there's no one here. But yeah, thanks for joining us here, guys. Just a little
little side step.
Yeah, a little side site from Ephesus.
Free to enter.
Yeah, free to enter for sure. We parked like down just a little ways next to this restaurant, just behind the restaurant in the dirt, so it was kind of cool. But thanks for coming along, guys.